everybody? It is Thursday night, and it is once again time for SDGC. This is episode 105, and I am one of your hosts, John, aka Mr. Megadov on Twitter. And this is a very special Solera of Astoria amiibo episode. The episode where we talk about nothing but Solera of Astoria amiibos for the entire podcast. So
unfortunately, if you don't like toys, you should probably leave.
That's all we're going to talk about. All of it. Why? So, can anybody else not hear anybody else? I can hear you, Jay.
I can hear you, John. So we're off to a great fucking start.
We're off to a great fucking start already. I can't hear JT or Jeff. Are you guys?
Well, they're still muted.
Well, they're still muted.
Okay, because they're shaking their toys in the camera and they're not actually paying attention. So Mike and Amanda, you guys can go ahead and unmute. It's already. Everybody unmute.
So bad.
Everybody unmute.
I'm here.
There we go. Okay, now we can hear you. We couldn't hear you. And it is time for Jeff and JT to unmute themselves and stop shaking toys. This is so bad. Oh my god.
John, I've done like almost 100 episodes. I always leave my mic muted unless I'm actually talking.
You people disgust me. Anyway, who's ready to talk about?
You see it? There's a Smash logo in the porg's eye.
Who's ready to talk about Solera Story amiibos for an hour and a half?
I am.
Who's ready to roll?
Just a heads up, John. It seems like Mike and Amanda maybe are having trouble unmuting.
Okay. Well, that's fine. We can wait on them. We can wait while they figure it out.
Sure.
But anyway, guys, welcome to SDGC episode 105. As you can see, we've got a full panel tonight. Hopefully, Mike and Amanda can figure out their mute issues. We got Zach. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everyone's had a good week.
Finn is here. What's going on, my man? In the middle.
Yep. How you living? I also, bringing everyone's favorite sake.
God, thank you for that. We've got JT. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, Game Dad?
Gabe Dad. Jesus Christ, I hate you. Jay is the only man not on camera. What's going on, dude?
Not much. One of my students asked me today if I play Rocket League, so it is picking up steam.
Great.
Excellent. And
Did
Jeff.
you go up to him like, how are you doing, fellow kids?
Well, Mike, say something again. We heard you for like a split second. And Jeff, down in the corner. What's going on, dude?
Nothing. I'm happy to be here.
Are you really?
Yeah, sure. It's fine.
And a resounding.
This is the near automata of podcasts. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's all right.
This is Enden 69.
Is this route B, nice. Route C, or route A?
No, we're still on route A.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is just one side quest that you have to do.
Okay, so while we're waiting for Mike and Amanda to figure out their sound issues, their mute issues, of course, right? Like, we've got two awesome guests on, and the audio's busted. So I will point out to everybody watching us that dumpster fire has been added to the Oxford Dictionary. So really, tweet them, email them, petition them to get the logo of this podcast added to the online dictionary, because I know as one of the co-hosts and creator of this podcast, I would really appreciate that kind of support. But anyway, there's a lot to talk about tonight. And we've got a lot of topics, and we've got a lot of people on the podcast. So I think what would be best if okay, they're gone, but they'll be back. I think what would be best is if you have something there you are.
Hey, we hear you.
There you are.
We had to leave the call.
Excellent. Okay, you're back. So we'll go ahead and start off by introducing Mike and Amanda. Mike is awesome. He is actually back when it was actually the last episode of the support class podcast I did for anxiety. Mike was on that, and it was awesome. And Amanda, this is your first time on the podcast, so thank you for coming on with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
We will see how thankful you are an hour and a half from now.
Okay with that.
But anyway, so Mike, we'll start with you. Do you want to tell everybody watching the show and anybody who might not be familiar with you where you come from and what you're doing right now?
Sure. I was born in 1978.
You know what I mean.
You're old.
I'm so old. No, I was, so let's see. For about 3.5 years, recently, not so recently, but recently enough, I was the news editor at Game Informer. After I left Game Informer in fall of 2016, I teamed up with Bithell Games. No, I do not know how to make games. That is not what they hired me to do. They hired me to write books, believe it or not. So I wrote 2 books. One is called the Game Dev Business Handbook. The other one, which is, I am really, really trying to finish this manuscript. I just am waiting on one more interview. The Game Dev Budgeting Handbook, which is a companion book. They are essentially how-to guides with interviews from like 25 different people in the first book and about the same number in the second book, about how to, start a business, how to keep your business afloat. It's not a get-rich-quick book because those are terrible. It's more like what different corporate structures are available to you and how to protect your IP and how to hire an employee or a contractor without getting yourself into trouble, and maybe you should pay those people on time. All the way through doing PR and how to deal with crunch, and the second book is just a deep dive into budgeting because that's a really hard topic and people don't know how to do it and it's really daunting. So just as a kind of a sneak preview, I spoke to a ton of people about different disciplines. So for instance, we talk about, in the first book, like you need to budget for having voice actors, right? Yeah. If you want to have voice performances or you want to have music in your game, right? So I talked to Dale North and I talked to Ashley Birch and I talked to
that's cool.
Steve Manship, who was the cinematics director for Ninja Theory. He worked on Hellblade.
Yeah.
And I guess here's the one I'm giving you because now his quotes are approved and he's in the book. That just happened today. So nobody knows this yet. I'm announcing it here first.
Whoa, hold on. SDGC exclusive.
Exclusive.
Right here.
I spoke with Austin Wintry about composing and about all the costs involved in composing. So, if you've played Journey, that's he was the composer on that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. The score in that game was amazing.
Or Assassin's Creed Syndicate was the Assassin's Creed game that he worked on. And he's working on bigger and bigger projects. He's, was Grammy nominated. So it was a huge get for me. It was an amazing conversation. It was one of those things where I reached out to him and I just his catch-all email address, and he got back to me a few weeks later. And he's like, yeah, I don't really have time for the next 3 weeks. I'm like, well, I kind of need to finish my manuscript. I need to get this thing edited and done. He's like, I'm going to be at the airport tomorrow at the gate. Let's talk. So then he got in touch with me that morning. He's like, was running late. Like, how about when I land? Not a problem. We were on the phone for an hour and a half. I have an hour and a half interview with Austin that was enormous, and he's fantastic, and he was so generous. But that, interviews like that are kind of what made up the core of both books. Because, especially in the first book, I know business, understand how businesses are supposed to run. But having people who are doing it right now and having them willing to share information with me. And again, almost everybody I talked to said, yes, absolutely, we're going to do this. The only people who said they couldn't were people who just didn't have the time, because asking people to, sit down with me for, half an hour to an hour to talk is kind of a lot. And a lot of people did email responses too. So, but that's me. That's a lot of, that's what I'm doing. But anyway, that work wraps up and I'm on the hunt for a new gig. So, if you like me, I'm available.
Everybody retweet that.
Have you ever,
hashtag if you like Mike.
Mike, quick
If you
question.
like Mike.
Yes.
As since your book delved into so much of the business aspects of game dev, have you ever considered maybe consulting or doing anything like that for indie game devs?
Yeah.
Yes. That is something I would absolutely love. It's really interesting, the opportunities that I've had to speak, and I'm going to be at PAX. I'm on a few panels. I'm on a couple of panels about, indie game business and marketing, and then a couple of less business focused panels. But one of the things that I've really enjoyed doing is, if people have questions, I love answering questions. I love helping out. I went up to Boston Fig a couple months ago, And the way our talk went was it was just Oleg Brodsky was the guy who arranged it, and he sat down. He came up with a bunch of questions, and he just asked me questions for an hour. And we opened it up to the audience, and the audience was able to jump in and ask questions. It was a lot of fun. And anything I don't know, I know how to find out, which is great. I one of the wonderful things about the business side of games, especially independent games, is people are really excited to share their information. There's a lot of paying it forward in the indie game community.
People want to get the word out.
Yep, absolutely. So people aren't stingy with their information. There isn't that sense of cutthroat competition that you sometimes get from AAA. Not always, but sometimes. The indie world is it's really networking focused and really, really focused on helping one another.
God, that's so cool. Zach, you look like you had a question.
No, I was just gonna ask Amanda. I know you can't say a lot. Can you say anything about what you've been up to?
Yeah, I can say some stuff about what I've been up
Okay,
to. I just
awesome.
can't tell you where I've been up to it.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good.
So, the sneaky preview of what it is that I've been doing for the last, oh God, how long have I had a job now? A month? I think it's been about a month and a bit. So I am a managing editor, the managing editor of a very big deal website that I cannot talk about yet.
Okay.
So I'm wrangling a bunch of freelancers and working with some great talent, including this guy.
Yes, I do. I am coming out of journalism retirement.
Mike, do you hear? Mike, you are a great talent. Do you hear that?
I appreciate. She says this to me. I don't always believe it.
I want to know that. So this podcast will be archived on YouTube, and if anybody ever tells you otherwise, you can go back and we'll timestamp this, and you could say that you are in fact a great talent.
I'm gonna make it my ringtone when she calls me.
Oh, that's nice. So other stuff I've been doing on top of that is I also run this this network of freelance writers that I've been mentoring since the beginning of January called
I've seen you do that on Twitter. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So they're my babies, and I love them. They are wonderful people that are trying to break into the wide world of game journalism and need a little bit of a helping hand on how to put together pitches, on the best ways to approach editors, networking, because a lot of them are really confused and scared about networking because they're very shy. So, we have our Constellation Radio Hour every Sunday now, and we're working towards helping them polish up their skills so they can keep trucking forward. They're going to be the next great wave of voices in our industry. So whatever I can do to help bolster them and support them and signal boost them. That's
awesome. That's so cool that you're doing that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, I want to ask right now, does anybody here have a question for Mike or Amanda? And I'm not just talking on the podcast here, but also in chat. If anybody's got a question for Mike and Amanda, now's the time to ask it. It looks like Finn is raising his hand.
Yes, because I am an adult. I already asked.
There's no place for adults on this podcast, Finn.
You are now taking your time to mentor others. What I guess would be your origin story? How did you break in and get started in this crazy industry?
That's a good question.
I did it before you did.
It's true.
I've been in this industry now for 8 years. And I didn't get paid for it until last year.
Holy
so
shit.
yeah, so I did it for a really long time as a volunteer. My very first site that I worked for was Gaming Angels, which was an all-woman website. We wrote about pretty much anything under the sun, including like tabletop games and war games, and I loved that section. I got to write about Warhammer.
Oh, that's
Those
cool.
were beautiful, wonderful days. So I wrote there for a little over a year, and then I bounced around to a bunch of different websites. I landed at Loot Crate. I wrote for their blog for 2.5 years, and I spiraled that into my first paid gig at Mike.com. I was one of 3 gaming editors. I loved that job. It was my dream job until I pivoted to video.
I just want to point out, Amanda, you mean mic.com, not mike.com.
Yeah,
okay,
mic.com.
So
It's not. I don't have my own website.
Okay, yeah, that's what I
Use your
just want to make that
website.
abundantly clear. Okay.
I mean, that would be a great meet cute, right?
Right? It would be amazing. But no, it was mic.com. They used to be policymic.com when they were just politics. So they launched a bunch of different verticals, including an entertainment vertical and a gaming vertical called Multiplayer. So I ran that with a couple of other editors and some awesome up-and-coming writers. But like 3 days after my birthday, they laid me off.
Oh, yeah,
Because Yeah, it was bad. So I had been without a job until February, so it had been like 6 months until I got my next job. But yeah, that's kind of been me. I've been bouncing around the industry for a long time and made some really great friends, and that's how I met this guy.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I tell you what, you may have been laid off, but from what I hear, it sounds like you got something pretty dope coming up. So,
It's
hey,
good.
I don't
It's
know- I don't-
huge.
I don't
It's
know
the
what it
biggest
is.
gig ever.
I don't know what it is, but I am really looking forward to finding out what it is. And I also want to say real quick, you mentioned mentoring freelance journalists, and I feel like this is a good time to announce to people in chat that I am actually going to be writing my first article for Polygon.com.
Woo!
In fact, I already turned in my first draft, and they have already contracted me to write a second article.
That's awesome.
So
So proud of you, man.
it's pretty. I don't know, man. It's pretty dope.
That's
It's pretty
amazing.
awesome. Yeah, you can say it.
It's pretty
Yep.
dope. It's pretty
He
dope.
already
I don't-
quit his day job, so
I did,
that's where
yeah.
we're at.
It's, I'm
Oh,
going.
man.
Please,
Yeah,
please be
because the
excited.
lucrative world of game
The look-
journalism
yeah.
awaits.
Yes.
Please be
yes.
excited for our Patreon launching next week. It's gonna be so lit.
Great.
But yeah.
Thanks,
John, come
thanks for
on.
that cool lingo, Game Dad.
It's gonna be lit AF.
Man, you know what? I'm tired of the game dad. I'm only 37. Damn it! Like it's not that
Game
old.
Dad.
You're
Yeah, I
so
get that I got
old.
gray hair. It's not that bad. Jesus.
You
You're-
have referred to yourself as the
I'm
game
older.
dad in our group chat.
See,
so
Mike's
this
older.
is
See,
your own
Mike is
fault.
game dad. Mike is
This
game
is your
dad
own
when he's
fault.
here. I'm like game Mike. I'm like game. Like
Little
older
brother?
I'm like game older brother.
Game
Mike
older
is my-
brother.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, John, Mike never taught me how to throw a ball like you did.
That's because I abandoned you when you were very young.
Game dad. Remember that time we hugged in front of the anime figurines?
Oh, nothing will ever be okay again.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, by the way, there's a
No,
question.
this actually happened. There's like photo evidence of this.
John, there's a question in chat for Mike and Amanda from someone asking when they're going to move to Vancouver. I don't know if that means anything to them.
That sounds like that's from a Todd.
It
his
is
name
from a
Todd?
Todd.
Todd
It is a
Maffin.
Todd.
We're not moving back to Vancouver, Todd.
You see, we would like to live in something larger than a shoebox.
It's true. We have
So-
a nice, like, enormous house here. And in Vancouver, for the equivalent, we would be living in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Where is here? If that's not too
We're in Jersey.
okay.
What the, like? Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure. Like, hey, what's your address? You know that.
But no, yeah,
you
like
don't do that.
Well, so here's the funny thing that I realized. So I'm packing up all the pre-orders for the books as we just got them in
Yesterday.
earlier this week, right? And I realized I have to put a return address on it. I don't have another return address other than my home address. So
Ooh.
Oh no.
it's don't visit me. And
Or
if you do, call first or email or
I'll send
tweet
you.
me.
I'll send you a DM on Twitter.
Yeah, send me a DM.
What
Yeah,
the
yeah,
heck
yeah.
on the outside of our house?
Yeah, exactly. Yo, can I visit? Wait, when?
Now I'm here in your driveway.
Now, what are your thoughts on standing outside the window with a boombox held high?
You can say
That's
anything,
just
man. You can just
wonderful.
say anything.
All right, you crazy bastards. Let's move on. Mike and Amanda, thank you so much for talking about where you've been. Real quick, JT, Jeff, Zach, do you guys have any questions for Mike or Amanda before we keep going?
No, I'm all set.
What's your favorite Gundam?
Okay, so I
just want to. I love the threatening way JT asked that.
But
It's
that new
like-
Gundam Breaker game that's coming looks
Oh.
really, really amazing.
Yes.
And it's gonna
I
be
love
my
those
gateway
games.
drug.
JT asked that like a bully speaks to other kids in the playground. He's like, "Yeah, what's your favorite
Actually,
Gundam?"
I do have a question for them because this is a very hard hitting question that really gets to the core of who a person is.
Oh Christ!
So you
Do
both
it.
have to answer in your heart of hearts, cake or pie?
Okay, but that's okay.
Bad, Finn.
Hold on.
Finn.
I can answer this question. It depends.
No, you see, you're thinking too hard. You got to go with your gut reaction. What do you choose, cake or
Cake.
pie?
Cake.
Bye.
Amanda wins. She got the perfect.
A liar. All
It's
right,
because
all right,
the last thing I
Finn.
made him was banana cake.
We asked the important
I was thinking back to my
questions
birthday cake.
All right,
my,
all right.
My homemade devil's food cake. Black Forest cake.
Team
was-
wife.
Yeah.
All
Team
right.
Wife did a very good job.
Yes.
Finn got his dumb pastry question out.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to thank you guys for being on tonight.
Oh, Jay,
Aw.
good call. Yeah.
So,
welcome.
yeah,
We're
like,
glad to. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Also,
so,
also cake is better than pie. So
Yeah.
don't at me.
So I just want to point out, and this ties directly into our first topic. I just saw this on Twitter, so it's irrelevant. So our first topic tonight, we're going to talk about the meeting that Donald Trump had with members of the quote-unquote gaming industry today. And so MSNBC right now is talking about the video game violence thing, and they are using stock footage of Virtua Fighter, like the original Virtua Fighter, Grand Theft Auto 3, and what and hold on, and what looks like Duke Nukem 3D.
Is this
That's
just like
just a
they've had
classic.
this? Have they
I'm
just had,
not
like, this
kidding
reel
you.
in the
I'm not
background?
kidding you. It's Grand Theft Auto 3.
Okay, no. So here's what
thought it
happened.
was
They
Vice.
literally went back to the archives and they're like,
Yeah.
"Didn't this happen before? Yeah. Do we still have footage? Yeah. Games
Alright,
couldn't have
guys.
changed that much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some
Guys,
intern made
I
this,
would,
like-
I would like to point out that at least they have not forgotten about Virtual Fighter like Sega has.
Oh, yeah, Virtua Fighter.
So-
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I,
did
I
you-
for one am really happy about this.
Well, wait, hold on. In the last Dead or Alive game, weren't there a couple of Virtua Fighter guest characters?
Yeah, but like, who cares about Dead or Alive?
Look,
Like, who cares?
people who
doesn't count.
Brandon
couple
let's face
careful.
it, Brandon probably cares about Dead or Alive.
there are a
That
couple of
careful.
answers. There are a couple of answers. I would say people who may not be able to see the female form in real life may be attracted to Virtua Fighter.
So
Like it's not a good fighting game. It's
So-
just basically
That's-
rock paper scissors.
No, okay, I like Dead or Alive. I
So-
think I enjoy it.
Midi-
But here's the thing
Soul
about
Calibur
showing
is the
Virtua. Soul Calibur's amazing.
Thank you.
Well,
if
I
you're gonna
hope
play
six-
a booby game, play Soul Calibur.
I just hope
Soul
six.
Calibur's
Is,
free.
I hope
So-
6 is good.
I want to point
Okay,
out.
but like, fuck that Ivy design. Like, they didn't even change it at all.
No,
but,
they're like,
but like she's like the mascot of the series. They really can't change
she was
it.
the mascot of the series. She was
This
introduced.
podcast is
Okay.
not about fighting games.
Okay. So I want to point out that Midi in chat says they pulled the footage up from last time the video game violence conversation came up, which sounds accurate. So this
I once killed a man with a polygon so big, it was part of my arm.
That's actually what John's
I knew
article
it.
is about on Polygon is how he kills the polygons.
Jay, that fell flat. I'm sorry, man. You tried.
Oh, he's doing his best. Okay.
I love you, Jay.
So
I love you, Jay. So
the bulk of this conversation, John.
So today, the president of the United States met with what was claimed were members of the video game industry, and among the people who attended were, and of course, this is a result of the fallout from the Parkland school shooting in Florida, and he met with individuals from the ESRB, from the ESA, from ZeniMax, who, by the way, is his fucking brother. There were 3 GOP congressmen there, and 2 other people that were there.
One guy from Rockstar, right? He
What-
was the CEO of Rockstar.
Yeah, Strauss Zelnick.
Yeah, he was there, and then so I want to point out there were no developers, nobody who actually makes games was present at this meeting, and you also had the presence of 2 individuals that I'd like to talk about, Dave Grossman and Brent Bozell. So Brent Bozell and Jeff, do you want to talk on Brent Bozell for a minute, because you pulled up some information on him earlier and you threw it in the DM.
I don't think that was me.
Was it you? I thought it was you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't remember. I just found like a funny little tidbit. I don't remember.
He said some pretty offensive stuff.
So Brent Bozell during the Obama administration called him a skinny ghetto crackhead.
Yep.
I remember that. Yeah.
he
I remember that
is-
coming up on the internet today.
He is a really interesting individual. And then you have Dave Grossman, and this is I've got, as you guys saw on Twitter today,
Hot fire
I've got
thread.
problems with Dave Grossman. So if you don't know who Dave Grossman is, if you're watching the podcast, Dave Grossman is a retired Lieutenant Kearney, Jesus. He's a I can't talk today. He's a retired Lieutenant
Just
Colonel.
make mouth farts.
Yeah,
That's what Mike
right.
does.
Yeah. He's a retired lieutenant colonel in the Army. He's a psychologist. Every interview he does, he will tell you about how he puts more man hours in training law enforcement than any other person in the country. Every single interview, he'll work that in. And he has been saying from about 1999 that video games are not only murder simulators. I fucking hate that. I hate that phrase. But he also claims that games, specifically first-person shooter games, actually increase your target acquisition skills. They increase your marksmanship skills. And one of the examples he used was the shooting in Paducah, Kentucky, when he said, Michael Carneal, who was the shooter there, got a bunch of headshots, and he called the skills that Michael Carneal that he claimed Michael Carneal got from playing Doom. He claimed they were supernatural, superhuman skills, marksmanship skills that he got from video games. I'm not paraphrasing that. Those are the words he used: supernatural and superhuman. And then he went on to, this was during an interview, by the way, with Gary Whitta. And then he went on to claim that the U.S. Marine Corps trained with the video game Doom, not like something that is like Doom, the actual fucking video game Doom. And then he also claimed that we trained with equipment that we got with our military contracts from Nintendo. And this is the guy who was Trump's expert on violence in video games at the White House today.
I mean, we'll talk about the Nintendo stuff later, because there was some correct about Nintendo's shift in direction. But the only thing I can think of, so we had the Zapper in the NES days.
Oh, those were
And,
Those were good
and then
days.
we had the Super Scope 10, which less good days.
Those were bad days.
Bad days.
Those were
Yeah,
just
the
straight
bazooka,
up bad
right?
days.
But here's the thing, like, if there were correlation between video game accuracy, by the way, you're playing with a controller, and everybody, we can all agree, right? Auto aim is a thing.
Yes.
In addition to that, wouldn't playing video games have made me an amazing driver? With all of the hours that I've logged playing racing simulators, I would be a phenomenal driver. I'm an okay driver. I'm pretty okay at it. But I'm not a pro.
So one of Grossman's claims, and so we're gonna do a deep dive on this, and this is a roundtable conversation. So anybody feel free to interrupt me at any time and get a word in. So you look at and what I tweeted about this a few days ago, and it went viral, and I got a bunch of, and this was actually why Polygon approached me to write the article. The article is about this series of tweets I made earlier in the week.
They're very good tweets. Go
And
read these tweets.
Go read that. It's a big long thread.
It's a huge
and
thread. It was probably way too long.
Very much worth checking out. It's coming from a very informed guy, and you should definitely do that.
So I was a U.S. Marine for 5 years, and I've seen combat in multiple theaters of war. I was wounded in action. I was in the Second Fallujah Offensive. I fought in Samarra and Ramadi, in Kandahar, in the Kapisa Valley, in Afghanistan, in Konar Province, Nangarhar Province, Helmand Province. I've done a lot. I've seen a lot. And when you look at the claims that are being made, not just, and you know what? It's not just Dave Grossman. It's GOP senators, and like the governor of Kentucky made the same claim about 2 weeks ago, right after the shooting. He said, "Well, video games make you a better killer. They're turning they're turning our children into super soldiers." If you look at Anders Breivik is a great example from Norway. If you're not familiar with Anders Breivik, in 2012 he killed 70 people in Norway, and he claimed that he did it with a holographic aiming device, playing Call of Duty, which of course is a fucking controller. He's talking about a controller, because this is 2012, not 2018. We didn't have PSVR or anything like that. It's fucking.
I mean, the only
2012.
other thing I could think of that would qualify as a holographic aiming device, and I don't even know years ago, was that dot that you put on your TV.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like it was a physical dot, right? Like
Right,
game
yeah.
console does. Yeah. Okay.
So
Well, he could have been using the PlayStation Move.
he could
have been playing Time Crisis.
Look,
Time
dude,
Crisis.
You could have been playing Time Crisis.
if you were using the PlayStation Move and then walked around and said, "Yeah, I shot all these people because I learned how on PlayStation Move," like, first of all, good on you for not like having your aim destroyed. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Or he could have used like a Wii U.
Well, right. I mean, like, what are you talking about? A Wiimote
Yeah.
at that point?
So like I don't know,
Seriously.
I don't know what he's referring to, but I do know that having fired I have fired a weapon at a human being with the intent to kill, and I can tell you right now that firing a weapon at a human being, and I'm talking an M16 A4, all kitted up with especially all kitted up with an ACOG and a full mag and a sling.
It is very uncomfortable.
and a laser and tactical sights, collapsible stock. Depending on how much kit you have on the weapon, you're talking probably about 11 pounds, right? Like an M16A4 without any of that kit is maybe 8.5 pounds, right? So when you're playing a game with a controller, what happens when you reload? You hit square. That's all you do.
Yeah.
You hit square or X if you're playing on an Xbox or whatever key you're on a keyboard, and you reload. When you are reloading in real life, and this is something, and I'm fucking stunned that I don't hear any pushback from anybody, hardly anybody in the gaming community on this. Nobody wants to actually get up and confront these people. But when you're reloading a weapon in real life, you're sighted in, you lower the weapon, you eject your mag, you grab a new mag out of your fucking ammo pouch, you reload the mag, you tap it to make sure the rounds go in, you rack, and then you've got to get your target acquisition back. You've got to re-sight in. These are skills, and that's just one example of many. Like video games don't account for debris in the air, dust flying, fucking wind gusts blowing your weapons, screams, the smell of propellant, people running into you. I mean, there are people ducking under cover, people moving around, and then you're constantly having to check your left and right lateral limits. The idea that playing a video game, especially a first-person shooter game, can increase your target acquisition skills is so foreign and strange to somebody like me that in 2018 I can't believe we're still having the conversation.
I mean it's because they just don't want the gun control to get stricter. So
that's exactly what it is.
To blame on something else. I mean that's why this whole medium was that's why this whole medium was like so half-assed in the first place. Is because they literally had to come up with something to distract from like the main problem.
Well, and I want Jeff to speak. Jeff, if I am not mistaken, Canada has very, very much stricter gun laws than America does.
Yeah, we do, but I mean, they're still accessible. You can still buy them. People still have them.
But this shit, but I guess my point, this shit doesn't happen in Canada.
No, it doesn't, and it's also because, and remember, hi, I'm Canadian. I'm from British Columbia.
Oh, there you go.
It's okay. But my uncle is a hunter, and I grew up, knowing that he had rifles and stuff because he was a hunter. But I didn't see them until I was into my 20s. I just never saw them, and guns were just not part of culture. Like at all. Even growing up in a small town in British Columbia, and we're talking way the hell up in the mountains in the Rockies, where hunting was a thing that you did. Guns were still just not a part of the conversation. It was like, why are we talking about guns? We have guns in video games. Guns in video games are cool. Let's go play Quake, guys. But it was never something that we talked about ever.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you said, it's just not part of the culture. I'm in Alberta, like a farming province, and everyone outside the city has them, but I've never seen one in my life because it's not like the open carry in some of those states where guys are walking down the street with a rifle slung over their back.
You can't.
And that's like when I was in Tulsa, like there were signs, and James said this too when he was in Texas, right?
That's right.
There's signs on the doors of like public buildings, like
a hospital, I think.
Right,
it was like no open carry in the hospital.
No open carry in the hospital. It's like, I'm American, right? But I grew up in Jersey. The furthest south I ever lived was Virginia. I lived in Richmond, and then I was out in Ohio, in Cincinnati. It's like these are still even with everything. Like, and Cincinnati. I lived there in 2000. I mean, we were there in 2000, 2001 when there were riots in the city. And still, it was like, you didn't see a lot of guns around. But what's going on now, the expansion of the ability to open carry in the United States.
It's terrifying.
It's not okay. And, our kids have to go through stuff that I never had to go through when I was a kid. Like,
they have to go through drills.
Yeah, they do lockdown drills. We did fire drills, right? And the kids still do fire drills, of course.
But they do lockdown drills.
Yeah.
They're mandatory monthly now.
Well, I think Jay hit the nail on the head. It is a desire to find a scapegoat, any scapegoat. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what it is, in order to satisfy the gun lobby, and that's just the way it is. Because I mean, think about it. The claim is that for example, there was a CNN article that hit early in the week, and this is initially what I tweeted about because these are all NRA talking points, claiming that VR, and I believe the actual title of the article was, "If you don't want a mass shooter to hone his craft, don't hand him a virtual boot camp." Which,
that article was
fucking
garbage.
Blew my mind because it claims, just like Dave Grossman claims, that the military uses VR to train their troops, right? I can tell you with no equivocations whatsoever that in the 5 years I was in United States Marine, I never put a helmet on. I never put a VR helmet on. We didn't train with Xboxes. We didn't train with PS4s. We certainly didn't train with fucking Doom.
You didn't kill any Keiko demons in basic?
No, we didn't. Unbelievably,
they definitely do not have VR headsets at Parris Island.
And I just want to point out that was the only reason I fucking joined the Marine Corps, is because in 1999, Dave Grossman said the Marines train on Doom, and I was like, I'm fucking there. Like I am all over this. And then I get there. Go ahead, Jay.
Actually, my uncle was stationed at Parris Island for a while, and I think it's like 2000, 2001. I remember being like 6 or 7, and it had like this like virtual reality like shooting range in like one of the buildings. So that's kind of like that.
So let me speak on that. So, and I mentioned this.
Yeah.
So these virtual, they're not virtual. It's not virtual reality.
It's not really virtual, but like
what it is they give you a plastic rifle that is the accurate weight and dimensions of an M16 A4. It was an A2 at the time, and you fire at a canvas. And it's a pixelated blob, and the rifle simulates, the kickback you get from an M16A2, and it makes a pop noise. But you're firing at a blob. It looks like a distant clump of grape nuts. That's supposed to be a condom.
It's not impressive at all, but like
that. So if that is what they mean by virtual reality in the military, then yeah, sure, I used virtual reality.
Yeah, sorry, I had to bring it up. Like I kind of forgot about that until we were just talking about that.
But
but that doesn't even make. Hold on, that doesn't even meet the criteria for mixed reality. That's like a light gun.
Well, here's the thing, right?
Like it's pretty much like Time Crisis, but like
that doesn't even compare to the Walking Dead VR.
And that's the one I was going to bring up. The
only
time I've ever held something that was shaped and weighted like a gun in a video game experience was 505 Games Star VR, which was their prototype 210 degrees of vision
nice
VR thing that they had at E3.
It was wild.
But here's the thing. In that demo, you were seated in a wheelchair.
Yeah. And there was somebody behind you like shaking your wheelchair. But you were seated. It was a rail shooter. That's exactly what it was. And yeah, the implement was heavy.
It was heavier here's the thing. It was a VR implement. It was heavier than 14 pounds. It was an extremely heavy piece of equipment.
I struggled.
And it was a shotgun, wasn't it?
It was a shotgun.
But it was shaped like an assault rifle.
No, it wasn't.
Was it? It was shaped like a shotgun.
It was shaped like a
shotgun.
So
the funny thing was I'd actually interviewed those guys about a year and a half before when VR was first spinning up, because they were trying to do something along those lines, have a more authentic weapon peripheral for VR that people could use in shooter games. But one of the things we didn't know at the time was you can't easily walk around in VR. You already can't easily walk around in VR because you're tethered, right? On top of that, adding another tethered item to it makes it harder. And then people need the space. And of course there's all the vestibular system problems that come from, moving around, when you're moving around in VR. So what they figured out was the best way, and it still is the best way to move around in VR, is the teleport mechanic. And if you've played in VR and you've played a game where you have to move around a larger world, you've probably played with this teleport mechanic where you point one of the controllers, you see your silhouette show up, where it's going to be, and you pop up, and that's where you are. Now, some of them are fixed position, like you can only teleport to certain places in the world, and some of them are you can kind of teleport more freely. But you're not running around a world.
Yep.
So chances are, when you're standing there and shooting, you're doing it with, a move controller, or
which isn't even remotely,
or the Oculus controller, which has no weight to it, barely any haptics. It's not kicking back against your shoulder. Like, the idea that this is teaching people how to shoot makes me laugh.
Well, and even if it did, and then I want to pass the mic to somebody else, but even if it did, I want to make the point. Let's say VR trained you how to be a better marksman. Okay, I can tell you right now, as somebody who's been in combat, nothing prepares you for actually firing at a human being. Nothing. Not VR, not video games, not people giving you war stories or telling you how awesome it is to be at war or how difficult it is to be at war. or how tough it is to kill. Nothing prepares you for that. Nothing at all. And I want to mention that Dave Grossman has never actually been in combat. He's never experienced combat. He's never fired a weapon at a human being with the intent to kill. He's never fired a weapon at a human being at all. So when you combine his statements on Doom and Nintendo and the fact that this is an expert on video games who, 1, has never played a video game, 2, has never experienced VR, and 3, has never experienced actual fucking combat, forgive me for not taking you very seriously, Dave. And I'm gonna pitch a panel at the next PAX about this very topic, and I'm going to invite Dave Grossman to attend. And I'm dead serious about
I'm going to
that.
sit in the audience and I'm going to eat popcorn.
I am dead serious
And we're
about
going to
that.
turn me into the next popcorn.gif.
Because I want this guy live. I want to, and I also want to say, and I want to, and so I want to throw this out to everybody. A lot of people on Twitter today were worried about what the outcome of this meeting might be. Nothing's going to fucking happen.
Yeah,
No,
nothing's
this
going to
is-
happen. I mean, it's just
this is
it's
for
just pretty
optics.
much it's just pretty much Trump just trying to get like attention, I guess.
Yeah, it was a distraction, and we knew. I mean, look, that was the big thing. It was a combination of scapegoating and distracting from the real issue.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you see the video that the White House
White
House's YouTube channel had put together?
JT,
The funniest.
So they like spliced together a bunch of like apparently ripped footage
it's so good.
from all
Dan
these
Reichert
internet
now
videos.
has been viewed by the president.
Oh, but
which
it gets
I
better.
swear is probably making him very happy.
Mike, it gets better. JT, keep going.
Oh, I don't know what you're saying. I was gonna say the Dan Reichert thing.
Oh no.
Because
So
you can see his Fallout 4 character that he's making.
So the best
It's the most
YouTube
Dan
channel.
Reichert thing I've ever heard in my
the
life.
best dirty Dan Reichert.
You
The
know
best.
what? Dan Reichert's character is more terrifying than any of the violence in that game.
Yeah, like here's the best part about that video, right? So I don't know if you got, but I don't know if you guys saw, but this evening the White House, like the actual White House YouTube account,
Yeah.
posted
yes.
a video of a bunch of spliced together violent video game footage, and they're like, look at how awful this is. 2 of those fucking games featured the protagonist killing Nazis, who are the worst villains in human history.
Yeah, it was Sniper Elite.
Sniper
it was,
Elite and
it was-
Wolfenstein 2.
Yep.
So, I mean, great fucking example, guys. I mean, you know,
And they showed it without any age warning
at all. It was just there.
at all. Yeah.
It was just there. And
Somewhere
then,
Sebastian Gorka was very offended.
well, and like the best part about the video is that there was no voiceover, there was no context. It was just this video from the White House with a bunch of
Oh,
violent
that's
video game footage,
amazing.
and a bunch of people probably saw it and went, "Wow, that looks fucking awesome!" Like, I'm
The
trying to
best
figure
part
out.
of that whole video were
Do
the
it.
comments.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the best comment was reported for copyright infringement.
But okay, I mean, one of the things I looked. So this was about this was all spurred on by gun violence, right? And they've got people whacking people with pipes. They've got people stabbing other people. It's like, wait a minute, hold
Yeah.
on. Are you losing the thread here just a little bit?
Well, and like the best part, then Minnie in chat, she mentioned they posted the no Russian mission. You know, everybody knows no Russian.
Yeah.
Yep.
A mission where you don't have to pull the trigger at all.
Yep.
Yep.
You choose to open fire on those people, or you choose not to.
Yep.
And that's the problem, right? And I said it on Twitter. It's like there's no context to any of this. It's mindless. But for anybody who might be worried that they're gonna ban violent video games, or they're gonna ban video games, or they're gonna regulate them, that's not going to happen. Video games have already received their protection under the First Amendment as protected free speech. There's nothing, and that's, I guess, the crux of the ridiculousness of this whole thing, right? Is like there's nothing that anybody can do.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found the most troubling about this discussion over the past week has been, and it's always existed, but it just makes it more obvious, is the division amongst gamers. In that, like, this brings out some of the really conservative, shitty parts of gaming culture, and seeing this sort of tactic work to divide people who enjoy this hobby is frustrating. To see some people fall for the diversion is disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
Boogie, is his name Boogie or Boogie?
Boogie.
Yeah,
Boogie.
whatever. He was all like, "This is the one thing you weren't going to fuck up."
And there's like a
Cap.
2012. There's a 2012 tweet where Donald Trump was complaining about video games.
Yeah, and it's like, he's like, oh, these are terrible. We need to get rid of them.
I would like to
There's
point
always a
out.
tweet.
I would like to point out, they're saying video games are influencing kids to be violent. I'm a substitute teacher, and I can tell you right now, the only game that kids talk about is Fortnite. And I honestly doubt.
Yeah.
In Minecraft, yeah, like they're not gonna do anything.
I know how to build a house now thanks to video games.
Yeah, I mean,
I know
I've
how
played
to
Minecraft, so I don't know.
Blocks.
Yeah, you just stack blocks and you build.
We know how to build. We could totally survive.
Jeff knows how to till a farm and build lasting relationships thanks to Animal Crossing.
I mean, I do too.
Right?
Stardew Valley taught me a lot.
Except Jeff's not doing that on Switch anytime soon.
Oh, too soon.
You know what else Animal Crossing taught me? How to not be relevant.
NBA 2K has taught me how to be a successful high school basketball coach.
Finn, you're an asshole.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, the interesting thing about the video game violence conversation is that there has been really good research. And we have tons of research on video games. And yes, there has been some correlation, not causation, but correlation to enhanced aggression. But aggression doesn't equal violence, just to be very clear. Aggression just means that, you know, your responses to certain situations might change a little bit. That doesn't mean you're going to lash out and start beating the crap out of your little sister.
In addition to that, researchers are still trying to figure out how to standardize what aggression looks like and means, because there's no standardized measurement of what aggression is.
Absolutely.
There's this fantastic book, and if you haven't read it yet, I would really recommend you read it. It's called Moral Combat, and it talks about the moral panic. There we go. The moral panic of everything surrounding video games and video game violence. And two social psychologists put together this amazing book. And I interviewed one of them back when I was working at Mike, and nothing ever came of the story because, well, pivot to video. So I lost that. But it's a fantastic book. And if you guys haven't read it yet, I would really recommend giving it a read.
Awesome. We will. At least I will. Does anybody want to weigh in on this before we go into the Nintendo Direct?
Like video games aren't the factor that make a difference when it comes to violence in the country. I mean, they might have like some influence, but you know, like it's not the main reason why there's violence in the country. The thing that they're all
ignoring is like we've got Justin Trudeau up here giving Ubisoft money to make Far Cry in The Division.
Mm-hmm.
And things are fine. So
yeah, I mean,
we okay.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that we want to point out, and in kind of the other half of we've got all this research has been done point, is that the CDC isn't allowed to research gun violence and hasn't been for over a decade because there are certain people with money who don't want the evidence, who don't want even the potential for there to be evidence that show that increased access to guns causes increased gun violence. And if the CDC were allowed to study that, we'd have some research to put up against the video game research, which, by the way, has essentially exonerated video games.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that there's so much research that proves there's no causation between video game violence and violence in the real world.
John.
Yo.
I know this is going to sound weird, but Saki actually does have something to say about this.
And I'm using the regular voice too. I don't know if you guys have followed this, but Representative Stephanie Murphy from Florida, because yes, Florida can actually contribute, has put a bill forward to repeal the Dickey Amendment so the CDC can actually start studying gun violence.
Good.
Wow.
I would also like to point out that Saki's mouth wasn't actually moving during that whole thing. It was just writhing like it was full of scarabs.
It's because Saki is like a magical creature. It's not like an actual object on this earth, so it can do whatever it wants.
Saki speaks with many mouths.
Yes,
exactly. Jesus! Don't ever say that again. That's awful.
I am going to say it one more time.
That's terrible.
Saki speaks with many mouths.
That's terrible. I don't ever want to hear that again.
Saki knows the grapefruit technique.
All right.
Don't
All right.
ever say that again. What is wrong with you?
Let's move on to the Nintendo Direct.
Thank God. Let's move on.
Let's move on to the Nintendo Direct. So today the Nintendo Direct dropped. I've had too much beer already. And Zach and Finn and myself all streamed it, and we held our comments until tonight. Jeff and Jay and JT, were you guys able to watch the direct, or do you guys?
I was watching the whole stream the whole time. I was commenting on the.
Oh,
stream.
you were okay. I wasn't paying attention to the chat. I was just watching the direct.
How do you think I was able to message you on Twitter and tell you that your opinion on Undertale is bad?
Man, whatever. My opinion on
Undertale.
Is
wait. Are you pro or anti?
He's anti.
He's massively, massively overrated game.
That game.
I did not enjoy that game.
Massively overrated. See, look at that.
Yeah, super overrated.
Hashtag John was
not
right.
a good game.
JT and Jeff, were you guys able to watch the direct or at least catch up on it? JT,
he's muted. And he doesn't know it.
JT, you're muted, buddy. You're muted, buddy. There he is.
One more time.
One more time.
Yes. Yes, I watched it.
Okay, you did. All right.
You watched it. Okay.
And Jeff, what about you? Are you all caught up on the direct?
No, I work all day and then I basically podcast as soon as I get home. So I've been off. I haven't even been on Twitter.
Oh, so this is going to be a lot of news for you.
Yeah, you're gonna be excited.
I mean, I saw like the highlights, if you want to call them that.
You guys live under a rock.
I felt like a Grinch because I was like looking. I was like, man, like nothing even appeals to me out of this whole direct. But
really,
oh God, that opinion.
What is it like to live without a soul?
Well, I mean, some of the games are good, but it's like I played Crash on PS4. I played Undertale on PC. Played Dark Souls like 4 times. Like and then whatever. I'm not a Smash person, so like
the entire conference, I was like, God, why did I buy this on PS4? Because I just want to buy it on Switch.
on Switch.
And this Crash remaster sucks.
I just want to point out
there's like lots of good games, but the only game this year that I'm planning to buy on my Switch is Donkey Kong. So.
Jeff does bring up a good point, though. If you were a pretty hardcore gamer and owned a Wii U and had these other games on other systems, this direct was really about games we already knew about or ports.
But nobody owned a Wii U.
I own a Wii U.
So here's the thing. I have Captain Toad. I have 2 different copies on 2 different systems of Hyrule Warriors.
And you'll buy them again on Switch, won't you?
Yes, I will.
Exactly.
No, and you know what? But I'm the same as you. I'm just saying that.
Let me ask everyone a question though. Like when you buy stuff on Switch, is it for the portability?
Yeah.
I mean, part of it's the portability. It's the games are going to run better. You're getting
that's fair. That's
more complete content. I mean, I like having Switch is one of those systems where it's like, okay, even if I own it somewhere else, and the Wii U's hooked up in another room, so the Switch is like, yeah, I can play the Switch anywhere. It's like, oh, I want to play more Hyrule Warriors. I can play it on my 3DS, or
I can play it on my Switch.
I can play it on my Switch.
Listen, I have never played L.A. Noire on a portable system before, and let me tell you, there is something very satisfying about playing L.A. Noire on a Switch.
There's something very satisfying about playing anything on a Switch. Let's just...
What specifically about L.A. Noire?
Like, yeah,
I thought was one of those games that I bought on... I think I had it on the 360. I have it on Steam. I might have bought it somewhere else as well, maybe.
I have it on PS3.
I might have it on PS3 as well. And I have it on the Switch. And it's one of those games that I've played through, I think, 5 different times.
Oh, but this time though, they actually, and they did this for the PS4 and Xbox releases, but they actually fixed the interrogations.
They did, and it's a much more satisfying system for me because I haven't played it in years. But I love that game, and I love that I can just throw my Switch in my bag. I can pull it out when I'm going on the train into the city, and I can just play L.A. Noire. I don't have to be tethered to a goddamn console. I have it in my hands.
All right, so I think it's safe to say, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it's safe to say that the Switch is on PS4, PS2 trajectory. It's probably going to hit 100 million.
Easily, yeah.
Okay, if it's safe to say that the Wii U closed out at what? 7 million?
Yeah.
I thought it was higher than that. I thought it was.
It hit about 14 or 15.
Yeah, I thought so too.
There you go. Okay,
Did it really get that high?
Yeah, it was about 14 or 15.
But I think it's officially past it though.
Oh yeah, it has. Yep.
It's way past it. So let's say you got. So here's what I can say because I covered when I was back at GI and did a lot of these. I covered attach rates every time Nintendo put out a new when they updated their numbers. I did attach rates. So you're talking about like Mario Kart, which had like a 50+% attach rate, right? That's absurd.
Yeah.
Smash had something right around there as well. what is it? As
13.
of the 13.56 as of September 30th
of last year.
of last year. Okay.
Yeah.
So it hadn't even reached 15 million yet.
That was for the Wii U.
That was for the Wii U. So the Switch kind of blew past that. So yeah, I think you're right. For people who owned a Wii U, you know, some of them are gonna be like, I already owned Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 on Wii U. I don't need to buy it on Switch. And they're gonna turn around and they're gonna say the same thing for every release, for Donkey Kong, for even though it's got new funky mode, for Captain Toad. All of these games, all these games that kind of had a very small audience opportunity on Wii U. Yeah, okay, you're playing to the same audience because it's safe to say that most people who bought a Wii U are probably, if they haven't yet purchased a Switch, probably going to buy a Switch. Even if they were gun shy at the beginning because they were kind of soured on Nintendo. They've probably come around at this point because of the library and the indies.
Oh.
Well, I just want to say, I think that kind of ties into with Jeff's issue, or at least some of Jeff's issues, because Jeff owns a Wii U, and Jeff has already played a lot of these games. Jeff, you mentioned that nothing really excites you because except for Donkey Kong, because it's got the new funky mode.
I want to be clear. Like, I'm not trying to diminish the quality of the games. I agree with everything you guys are saying, and I understand hardly anybody played on the Wii U. I think these games deserve to be on Switch. I think they should be on Switch. I think they're all great, including all of the indie ports, the third-party stuff. The Switch has an amazing library and a ton of great games. When I kind of express my disappointment, it's just like from a personal perspective. You know, I don't use my Switch portably. It doesn't leave my dock. It's just another system. So for me to buy a game on there, it pretty much has to be an exclusive, because otherwise I'll just play it on my computer, PS4, whatever. So that's just like I'm just waiting. Breath of the Wild was so good. I played it on Wii U at launch because I didn't have my Switch yet, and I bought it again on Switch. That's the only game I've done that for.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like at launch, though, Breath of the Wild had it had an over 100% attach rate.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I completely understand what you're saying, and I think your use case is 100% valid. I think it's a minority use case.
Yeah,
absolutely it is, and that's why I try not to like shout it out too much. I'm just kind of like, there's a few franchises, and I got really burned on the Wii U. I bought my Wii U, and I did the same thing with the Switch, even though I said I wouldn't. I bought it. I was like, all right, I like Animal Crossing. I want to play Metroid, and like Mario Golf. And they released Mario Golf for the 3DS. They did Metroid Federation Force for the 3DS, and there's no Animal Crossing.
So
like,
we got like a
Crossing
fucking
is not
party
okay.
game for the Wii U.
Yeah.
A fucking party game. I sold.
And like now, I feel like everything they're announcing for 3DS is what I want to be playing. Like Luigi's Mansion sounds awesome. They did that.
WarioWare.
Like, why the fuck is not WarioWare
Mario
on the
Party
Switch?
Top 100. I love
Like,
Mario Party.
I'm fine them still supporting 3DS. That's cool. There's
Put it
a
on
billion
Switch
of them
as
out
well.
there. But yeah, give us like what they're doing with Treasure Tracker.
Yeah.
Put it on Switch too, so the
But
people that don't have
remember,
or don't want to play there anymore,
Like,
this is
really?
Nintendo.
can do that.
This is Nintendo. Wait a year.
Yeah.
Those games are likely to make the jump in one way or
Like
shape, or form.
I guarantee you, Samus Returns will hit the Switch. I guarantee you, Metroid Samus Returns will come to the Switch. But let's talk about let's start with the big reveal, Smash Brothers at the end of the show, which that was
so freaking cool how they did that.
Yeah, so it was
Really,
dope.
I think it's definitely a reboot of the series. I don't think it's the Wii U version.
I don't
No,
either.
it's definitely not Wii U.
I don't either, and I knew as soon as I saw Champion Link.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw Champion Link, I was like, okay, this is something new. It's not a remaster. It's not like Smash Brothers DX. This is probably.
I knew whenever I saw Mario.
This is
we have like emo Mario here. He probably listens
Emo
to
Mario.
My Chemical Romance, has the Blink-182 tattoo on his back.
He's in the dark, surrounded by flames.
So my question, and this is just a random Smash question in general. Would you prefer there to be, instead of the traditional clone characters, I would love a classic Link and a classic Mario, and then a revamped Switch version as a separate character. So there'd be Breath of the Wild Link and classic Link.
Do you mean like how they did Toon Link?
Regular Mario, yeah, like that, but regular Link and then Breath of the Wild one. And I've been nerding out about what his possible movesets could be. He could have the champion magic at his disposal, guardian arrows. Like, there could be enough to differentiate and make them truly different characters, but without... I feel like Mario and Link are always the characters that get revamped with each outing because they have the most new games. And it seems like a waste sometimes. Like, I do miss a Flood Mario.
So here's my thought on it. Nintendo is often aggressive with their release dates at announcement, so that doesn't necessarily mean it's a port or it's a new game. Like, they could really be thinking they're going to get a new game, a new Smash game out the door this year. But I wouldn't write off the fact that this is an enhanced port, because they've done this along the way where they've added characters. So I can see them releasing an updated version of Smash Wii U as Smash DX or Smash Switch or whatever the heck they're going to call it. So it's going to be a half step. It's going to be a bunch of new content. So what you get is you get a bunch of new characters. You get Inkling. You get the Inklings in there. You get Champion Link.
Chibi Robo. Chibi Robo.
You're dreaming.
The return of Ice Climbers.
The return of Ice Climbers. But that could be the thing, though, that one of the things, because they killed tandem characters, so you might get Zelda remerged with Sheik, so you might get that back again.
Actually, Zach had a fantastic theory. As soon as he saw the Solaire of Astoria, or Solaire of Astoria amiibo, he was like, Solaire and Smash.
I mean, yeah, they
also just teased this Geralt thing. Like, are we gonna get? And
that's gotta be Soul Calibur.
That's Soul Calibur.
It's gotta be Soul Calibur.
You think it's Soul Calibur? Because I was thinking
100%. 100%.
Geralt just doesn't seem very Nintendo friendly.
Okay, wait. I hadn't considered Monster Hunter, and that sounds fucking dope. Like, I would do both.
I mean, you just think about what Geralt does, and Monster Hunter seems like a good fit.
It's like it works. It seems like it works.
So go ahead, Zach.
But here's the thing. They could introduce another Mario. They could introduce Cappy Mario.
They could. I would be stunned if Cappy is not part of Mario's moveset.
So you could get 3 or 4 new characters and still have it be not a direct port, but something along the lines of what you got with Mario Kart and Pokken Tournament.
And Crash Bandicoot's going to be there too.
Probably at this point.
Possibly.
I mean, he showed up in Skylanders. Who knows? Yeah. But here's the big takeaway from me, and I actually thought about this, if not this morning, then yesterday. It was sometime this week I thought about, Doom and Wolfenstein 2 and L.A. Noire and how they're courting indies, and then it kind of hit home today. If you've got South Park back on a Nintendo platform, because the last time I can recall South Park being on a Nintendo platform was 64, right? Nintendo had veered so far away and then veered so far into family territory, and had kind of the big anti-Nintendo messaging was, they left the core gamer behind. Nintendo's not a core gaming company anymore. They're focused on family friendly, and they don't care about us anymore. One of the things that's been really interesting is Nintendo has been very smart about the games that it's highlighted in these directs to say, no, really, you the core gamer, this is a system for you. Just like 3DS has some games with mature themes.
Well, it's the same sort of thing when you look at the other consoles that they've released. They've released the mini SNES and the NES Classic and everything like that. That's appealing to a very different kind of set of gamer than what they were appealing to with the Wii and the Wii U.
Well, think about there was almost something for everybody at this direct. There was
totally was.
You had your Nintendo sports title, because you always got to have those. You've got the return of
that looks really fun, by the way.
The Aces looks Aces.
It does look Aces.
Finn, go ahead.
No, when you're done, I just have something to say.
You've got Smash Brothers, your big marquee Nintendo title. You've got your more mature games like No More Heroes and Dark Souls. You've got your traditional JRPG in Octopath Traveler, which looks fucking amazing. By the way, that is my most.
It looks bad.
That is
actually.
Jay,
just mute yourself and then light yourself on fire.
Wow.
Okay, that was too strong. That's too much. Don't light yourself on fire.
I just think the name is terrible. I'm interested in the terrible.
Yeah. The reason why I say it doesn't look good is because Bravely Default wasn't good. And
Bravely Default was good. What are you doing?
No, it wasn't.
But Bravely Default was good though.
It was good.
The second one wasn't good.
Okay, Jay, you're a man who doesn't like Mario, so let's just throw that out there. But anyway,
Finn, what were you saying?
Anyway, hold on, I'm not that. Okay, Finn, go ahead.
No, I'm saying,
Wait, I have something to say on the matter.
Jay, okay. Finn, say what you're gonna say.
Poor Finn.
No, I really enjoyed this direct overall because I actually am really excited to play a lot of these games again, and I'm personally happy that they're going to find a second life on the Switch. That said, there is one glaring flaw in this direct that needs to be addressed, and I usually don't like port begging, but Nintendo how dare you leave WarioWare off of the Switch and put it on 3DS?
Seriously.
That is a criminal act.
That was a mistake.
That's gonna be
Killer party game.
We're gonna see that before the end of the year.
I hope so, because I've been waiting. The fact that
We've been
1-2
waiting.
Switch is the only minigame compilation on that system is criminal, and I don't like
For
it.
$70.
So what are we missing? Like, what are we missing from the Wii U library at this point that hasn't made it over to the Switch? We're missing both HD Zelda games.
Wonderful 101.
Wonderful
Metroid
101.
Prime Trilogy.
Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Which, by the
And
way,
then-
that's coming. By the way, I guarantee you, Prime Trilogy. I have heard things. Prime Trilogy's coming.
Yoshi Woolly World. Right?
Oh
Wasn't that a thing?
yeah.
That made its way to the 3DS, though.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
that's
we've got SMT,
What about Star
Sharp
Fox
FE,
Zero?
Yeah, that
Tokyo
that-
Mirage
Oh,
Sessions.
Tokyo Mirage, yeah.
That'd be nice.
New Super Mario Brothers. I can
Guys,
see that
you
coming.
guys are forgetting the best answer. Devil's Third.
Oh shit! You know what we are forgetting? Mario Maker.
Yep.
You're forgetting the
And
best
there's
part
no
of
way that
Mario
doesn't get
3D
ported.
World.
Yeah, that's gonna be an E3. That's gonna be a brand new game, and it's gonna
My
be.
brain is still trying to comprehend what Finn just said.
No, don't focus on the Devil's Third. Just never ever focus on the
Devil's Third.
Oh!
Devil's
I
Third
wanna-
was actually like Devil's Third was actually
No.
fun.
Well, I don't think we'll get a Mario Maker port. I think we'll get a legit Mario Maker 2 or whatever they want to call it.
I think we'll get Mario Maker 3D,
Yeah.
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 and I think we'll get Cappy stuff, and we'll get.
Jeff, were you trying to say something?
No, I was saying we don't have Mario 3D World. I liked it better than Odyssey.
Oh.
And it's
Oh,
not on
3D
Switch.
World was really good.
I never played.
That's a
that,
spicy opinion, but
But
I
but
was
it's
like,
valid.
Spicy opinion.
It's kind of like
Oh,
apples
like
to
the
oranges,
double
right?
pack.
Like it's the
They're
more
totally different.
platform-based
100%.
versus
Yeah, yeah,
exploration. It's just my I enjoyed it more than.
What
Odyssey.
about a double
Okay.
pack of new Super Mario Bros. U and Luigi?
I could totally see that happening. I could totally...
But here's the thing: in order for that to be like, okay, I'll pull the trigger on this, that's gonna have to be like 20.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's one issue I do have is that all of these ports get premium pricing.
The world. Look, I will say this first. The World Ends With You. I've already pre-ordered it, but come on, $60.
But here's
What
the
are
thing,
you
Mike.
doing?
Mike, guys like you
The
and I, like,
iPad version is like 20.
I'm
Yeah,
part of
I
the
have the
problem
iPad
because
version, too.
I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
I'm part of the
In
problem.
Nintendo,'s
Let's be
defense,
real.
I'm pretty sure the Wii U versions of all these games are still full price because they.
oh
do
yeah,
that.
Nintendo never drops prices. Well,
The
like,
Wii U
that's-
is still
I-
$2.99.
Actually, I think Tropical
No,
Freeze is
let's be real.
$20 now on the Wii U.
By the way,
There's no
I,
way you
because
bought
it's
that
like
game
a
for
it's
yourself.
a select
I'm gonna
or,
play.
like
Yeah.
I bought it for you.
can I do?
Like-
I also want to point out that I agree. Like, I love my 3DS. I'm playing Fire Emblem Awakening right now. I'm a huge JRPG guy, and I slept on Fire Emblem for too long, and I'm absolutely loving Awakening. But I feel like I love my 3DS. They talked about it for 5 minutes today. It was about 4 minutes too long for me to talk about the 3DS. I want all these games on the Switch, and I don't understand why they're not there.
Oh well, just wait for your Luigi's Mansion. It's gonna happen.
yeah.
So
Sweet.
That sounds amazing, but also I'm like I just want it now. Like
Luigi,
it's frustrating that it's not. On
So
both
so
now.
a few things that were rumored but didn't show up. I lamented this. The rumored Luigi's Mansion Mario Odyssey level with 43 new moons did not show up. Fire Emblem Elegy of whatever it was that the Fire Emblem game supposedly launching in the summer and if that didn't show up today, I guarantee you it's not showing up. It's not releasing in the summer like that. was
No.
suggested.
And obviously, Wolfenstein has been delayed till at least August.
Who here wants BJ and Smash? BJ
I mean,
Blazkowicz
no,
and Smash.
absolutely not.
I'm sorry. You're talking BJ Blazkowicz, not.
Yes, obviously BJ
Oh.
Blazkowicz. Oh, jeez, Mike.
That was just a perfect time for us to use
Mike.
phrasing.
Oh my God, Mike is taking this podcast to the gutter like it wasn't there.
Bad.
already.
We're still waiting for Duke and Battleborn
What?
now. So
I'm sorry. Do you think that he's alone in this? Also me.
Oh jeez, both of you. Just this is no anyway.
This family show, you F-bomb dropping motherfucker. Wait.
No, I'm saying no. This is probably the most family friendly show we've ever done. To be honest with you,
Which is weird.
we're gonna have to
We're
bleep
talking
that out
about
later.
Swearing profusely before.
But-
Yeah, John really
Going
prepped
live.
you for something a lot harsher than we usually are.
yeah, no, yeah. I'm trying to be good for our guests.
I get it.
Does he not know who I am? I don't understand.
Oh, he's learning it.
I want to go before we hit up
Your mouth,
Finn's.
motherfucker.
This Finn has a really cool topic, and I want to get to that. Before we do, one more question. what did we show? What happened to the direct today? And I just want to go around the table and ask everybody what they are most excited for from the direct today. And we'll start with Jay.
I'm not really a Nintendo fan. I think a lot of people here know that by now. I like the fact that Nintendo, unlike with the Wii U, they're actually releasing games like regularly. Like there's no drought. Like I owned a Wii U, and there was always like droughts between games, like 6 to 12 months, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
And I've kind of like the fact that like Nintendo now has like embraced is like. It's kind of like what's happening in music right now. Like someone will announce an album and like it comes out like the next week or like 2 weeks after the announcement, and like games just come out like months after they get announced. Now it's like, oh, here's this new game, and guess what? It's coming out in 3 months. Like it keeps people excited. So I mean, personally, I don't like there being so many ports of games I've already played on the Nintendo Switch, but good for Nintendo for actually bringing games to the system.
Okay. Awesome. Jeff, what about you, man? Was there anything that really, like, at least one thing that really excited you from the direct today?
Yeah, there was. The only Nintendo systems I've owned were an N64 and a Wii U until my Switch. I love the Mario sports games, and unfortunately, the Mario Tennis we got on Wii U was not good. So, Mario Tennis Aces looks awesome, and I actually am super excited for that game. I love Mario Tennis.
I like the fact that they have like all the new stuff, like the power, like you can break the rackets and whatever. But at the end, they were like, "Oh, if you don't really like any of that, you can just play normal mode." When I'm
options are good. Accessibility is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
JT, we'll hop over to you. What did you like the most from the direct?
Aces was good. Just to not say that, probably Luigi's Mansion, the revival of that, because the first, well, I guess the second one. The first one on the 3DS was really good. So, more is good, but I would love to play that on Switch.
And Mike and Amanda.
You want me to go first?
Yeah,
I got really excited about the Kirby game.
You got so
sit just across from here because we're on Mike's desk right now. My desk is right across, and I kept popping over to go like.
I can't wait to have DDD and Meta Knight on as part of my squad.
Seriously, it looks like so much fun, and then Aces looks, well, Aces.
There you go. Mike, what about you?
Luigi's Mansion. I never had a GameCube. I bought a bunch of GameCube games when I got my Wii, so I got to play Eternal Darkness, and I got to play Super Mario Sunshine and stuff. But yeah, I never played Luigi's Mansion, so I'm super excited to finally be able to play that.
Awesome, dude. Finn, what about you, man?
Octopath Traveler.
My man. And Zach? I'm sorry, Finn, keep going.
No, that's it. I cannot wait. I want it.
Dude, that special edition looks legit.
If it had a steelbook, I'd be down.
I'm getting it.
I am a steelbook whore now. I need them.
I'm getting
the Bayonetta steelbooks are so pretty, and I want all my, and so is the Xenoblade one and the Mario Kart one, and I just really want all games to have steelbooks.
And Zach, tell us about how excited you are for Smash Brothers.
Oh, it's not Smash. I'm all in on the Splatoon 2 Octo DLC.
Really?
No, 100% not. 100% not. Fuck with you. Obviously Smash. No, I liked the Biggie and the Tupac call out with the character designs that they showed in that. Like that, I saw that Twitter thread, and that was like incredible. But no, like it seems fine. But no, I mean Smash is what I'm here for. I can't wait for Nintendo to launch it at the same time as their multiplayer, and then for them to not work at the same time.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be a really good time for Nintendo. But no, it'll be good.
I can't wait to have a giant dongle attached to my Switch.
It's gonna be amazing.
This is gonna be Splatoon 2 all over again, isn't it?
Oh no, it will be a disaster, and the worst part is they're gonna make you pay for it.
And here's the better part is that since it's Smash Brothers, people will pay for it. I'll pay for it.
So much money.
Oh, by the way, they're finally going to implement as part of that. So when your system inevitably gets bricked and you lose your 100 hours of Breath of the Wild save and you didn't pay for the online service, you're going to be kicking yourself.
I can't believe we still don't have cloud saves. I think so. I love Smash. I'm a huge Smash Brothers fan. I've played every single Smash game. And you guys know what a Dark Souls fan I am. I have two things that got me the most excited about the Direct. Was one, the amiibo, the Solaire amiibo. I will wear that thing around. I will wear that thing around my neck so I can praise the sun wherever I go. Like that.
You know what?
Like a necklace of those.
I'll make it into a necklace for you.
Yeah, please, that would be amazing. I will make it like turn it into like a talisman for me because I will wear it everywhere.
It'll be a hemp cord, and you can wear it all the time.
Fantastic. And
you can dress it up, you can dress it down.
I can't wait. I can't wait. And as much as I love Dark Souls, I've played about 560 hours of the original Dark Souls. And I'm gonna play it again. I am the most excited about Octopath Traveler. Because
so you already got good, is what you're saying?
I've already gotten good. Like I'm good. I'm just good. Dude, Octopath Traveler looks so beautiful, and I'm a huge old school Super Nintendo RPG fan. It just looks like somebody took one and modernized it, and it's just so good. It looks like an updated version of the best game ever made, Final Fantasy VI, which is not the 43rd best game ever made. It's the best game.
I actually gave it like 0 points.
I know that's you're
because it's not good. Like,
wait, hold on. 6 is the best Final Fantasy, and it's in my top 3.
It's the best game ever made.
No, Final Fantasy VIII is the best Final Fantasy.
No. Okay, we're not doing this. We can't do this. We can't do this.
No, because this is going to end up. You're giving him an.
We can't do this because now we're going to get into
brain.
So Finn has an amazing topic that we're going to get into, and I thought this was awesome. So I want you to lead the conversation. Why don't you go and kick us off?
All right. Well, something I was thinking about because coming off of movies like Black Panther and with this new Avengers movie on the way, and just we are well into the superhero movie golden age, and just all of these nerd properties becoming mega hits, but we have been a long time removed from the quote-unquote golden age of the licensed video game based on these movies. It used to be, especially in the PS2 era and the PS1 era, and actually all the way back to Nintendo and Super Nintendo, that a major movie could not come out without a video game tied to it also releasing. And yes, for the most part, a lot of them were bad, and the term licensed video game became a pejorative, but sometimes you got really good ones like Chronicles of Riddick or Spider-Man 2, and more modern ones like Mad Max is a licensed game. The Batman series has been very good. So my question is, in the past decade, what is a movie that you think deserves to get the video game treatment? And we will assume it will be a good game, not a trash licensed port job. So
can I propose a rule for this?
Please.
You know how with our what we've been playing section, we normally give each person like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Would you like to do that for this, so everyone has a chance to speak on their game?
Yeah, let's do 3 minutes.
Cool.
Finn, who do you want to start?
I would actually like to start it off with our guests, unless they want some time to think.
No, I thought about this in advance.
Yeah, I
let them know about the topics.
Then you go first.
Okay. Then yes, please. The guests should go up.
All right, I will go first then. Get Out.
Ooh.
Show your work
Saki
now.
just audibly gasped.
I'm thinking we know what happened, like we know how kind of it all ended. But there are all those people who have been,
transplanted.
Yes. I'd really love to see like vignettes, adventure style, like what those stories of what happened to those people and their efforts.
When you say adventure style, do you mean like point and click?
Either point and click or first person kind of direct action. But kind of like a horror theme, but those relationships, we're talking, this has been happening for a while, so you
like Telltale but good.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say in response to this.
Okay.
Wow.
But something along those lines where you're able to tell a concise story that has a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
But
that sounds incredible.
So there you go. That was my idea.
Okay, mine's not nearly as good as that, but that's okay. Mine's a palate cleanser because yours is intense. I think that Big Hero 6 would be an awesome.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Make it an RPG.
Seriously, as an RPG, and it could be like a squad-based RPG. Oh, you can make it a tactical squad-based RPG, and it would be amazing.
Really good.
I would play the hell out of that game.
Basically, any of the animated movies from the past decade, like I miss those. Like Matt was saying, like the PS2 era, like you'd have those. Yeah, like the Toy Story 3 game was so good. Like on the Wii, I remember that came out, and like I was geeking out about it.
I still love Aladdin on the Super Nintendo and Genesis.
Oh my god, nothing but love.
How about the second? How about the second level, the Lion King game?
I was more of a Lion King guy.
It would be.
Dude, that game was not easy. I remember.
Yeah, that game was not easy. Like my 4-year-old self was happy to beat the second level.
Okay, so yeah, Big Hero 6
All
as
right,
a tactical squad-based RPG.
All right,
Cool.
Finn, who's next?
Why don't we get our resident Canadian a chance to shine? That's Jeff. I don't know if you.
I'm Canadian tonight, so I'm just making sure. Well, actually, this is going to be an unpopular take. There's actually one already in production, the Avatar game. I think that Ubisoft's going to be doing.
Oh,
I feel like, I like Avatar as like a 3D experience that I saw in theaters. I don't know that it's like the best story, the best movie.
But it's gorgeous.
And I feel like regardless how you feel about the movie, that would be a really cool game. You've got this amazing setting, and all these cool creatures. Like I just feel like there's a lot you could do in that sandbox. So that already exists, but I guess for one that doesn't, I don't know if it counts. Like I guess they did Kong Skull Island, but I was thinking like a King Kong type game. Again, just another one of these like fantastical islands. You got all the creatures. You could do like a really good horror game where like you got to get in and out of the island, make it like a rescue mission. You could do more horror style, and you could have some really good set pieces. Almost like an Uncharted style adventure. You could do some big scale stuff like God of War, where you pan out and you've got the huge Kong, and maybe I just think there's a lot of flexibility there, and it could work out pretty good.
Maybe like make Peter Jackson make it.
Yeah.
Dude, no, seriously, get Weta, get his company Weta to work on it. I mean, that would be all, dude. That would. Be
Were they involved in the Xbox 360 launch title at all? I mean, I know it had his name on it, but I had no idea if they were.
I'm not sure, actually. That's a good question.
That King Kong
That's
game,
more or less why
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, that was a fucking good licensed game.
But like,
it was.
But like something that's updated that uses current technology. I think Jeff's onto something there. I think Jeff. That was really good.
Make it a survival game.
That would be dope, actually. I don't care.
It would be like it would be like that game Involved. You have King Kong versus the humans.
Okay, Finn, who's next?
Let's go Zach.
All right, this one's not very interesting, but I want Max Payne 3. Oh, fine, fuck, forget it. John.
No, it's Zach. It's Zach. He's kidding. No, it's Zach.
Fine. All right, Max Payne 3 style game, but John Wick.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Yeah, that was gonna be mine. Either that or The Matrix.
I'm not gonna lie, Zach. That movie was one of the reasons I helped come up with this concept.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be really good.
Very good movie.
Like a Max Payne game, but with Splinter Cell Conviction's painting target system.
Oh,
that would be amazing.
Yep.
Finn, Zach, you and Finn need to get together and make this pitch.
Yeah, as soon as we learn anything about making games,
this would be. Dude, Mike's the guy to talk to.
I've made a golf game, so I can help you out.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be
dope.
JT, do you need more time since you said Zach took your answer?
No, I got back up.
Okay. Hit us.
Kick-Ass. No, I'm kidding.
Because I was gonna say Kick-Ass got a game. It was garbage.
Oh, did it?
I didn't know
that.
Okay.
We were all spared.
Let's go with 300.
Interesting.
Big, large-scale battles.
Kind of like
a grand strategy game.
Yeah, pitch me on the design.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I can't really pitch you on the design, so I'm gonna switch my answer to Kill Bill.
Oh, Kill Bill!
When you walk into the board meeting and you fucked up, so
I was expecting. I was expecting JT to say a bunch of naked dudes are yelling at a bunch of other naked dudes, and they've all got shields.
With loincloths, yes.
That's JT's answer for a 300 game.
Loincloth. We'll call it loincloths the game.
Would it be like Rise?
I liked my grand strategy idea better.
I think
That would probably. That would
I
probably
just really
work
like
the
strategy games, you guys, can't you tell?
Oh, they're so good.
Or you can make it like God of War. Like an action-heavy,
That's more of what I was thinking originally.
button mashy kind of deal.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
But
Awesome.
John Wick was my first love.
And Zach stole him away from me.
Yep.
What about you, John?
So I would have said the Avengers if I knew Square Enix wasn't already making an Avengers game. So I will say Army of Darkness.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Be very good.
You know that's my favorite movie of all time,
It's
right?
one of my favorite movies. It's in my top 3.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Make an Army of Darkness game. Give it to. If you're asking me who should develop it, I would say. I'll get back to that. But it's a Resident Evil 4 style game with better controls, over the shoulder, third person. You get shotguns, you get your chainsaw arm. You have to continually find gasoline to fuel your chainsaw arm. You got the Deadites. You got the Deadites running around. There's a time travel mechanic to where you can flip back and forth between the Middle Ages and the present day. The cabin is your hub in the woods. That's kind of like where you flip through the Necronomicon and you get all your missions. You go on different hunts for
I need this game.
And it's extremely fuck you, Grossman. It's extremely gory and it's extremely violent.
Good. It's supposed to be.
Now I want to go back and play all the original Xbox Evil Dead games.
For a developer, I want it to
Those
be.
are a thing.
I want the developer to be a collaboration
They are.
between Shinji Mikami and Guillermo del Toro.
I'm so young, I don't know any of these games.
Oh,
Shit.
you should go look up. Like Bruce Campbell did.
Yeah.
I think there were 3 of them that were
Yeah,
released.
there
I want.
Were they good?
I didn't mean to say
good or
Guillermo
not?
del Toro.
They were.
I meant to say Sam
They're
Raimi.
okay.
Get Sam Raimi and Shinji Mikami together
Oh
to
man.
make an Army of Darkness game, and I will be there fucking day one. That's
Wait,
my choice.
hold on a second. You essentially just described an Ash version of Shadows of the Damned.
Basically, yes. Replace Gabriel fucking Hotspur, which is his actual name,
Yep.
with Ash Williams.
I'm there.
But would Ash have like the big boner weapon?
He would not have the big boner weapon. No, he would not have the big boner
He'd
weapon.
have his boomstick and he'd have his.
What did I just come back to?
My game.
Nothing good.
Wonderful.
The first thing JT hears is
Magical
big
things.
boner weapon.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
JT, did you hear my game?
Are we still in Army of Darkness?
Army of Darkness. Yeah, that's the game.
Okay.
That's my game.
So yeah, you should totally
Still
look
don't
up
see how
those
Why, but-
those Evil Dead games that came out. One of them he had like a little like Deadite buddy.
Are you talking about Fistful of Broomstick?
Yeah, there's Fistful of Boomstick was one of them, but there was at least one more, if not 2.
Okay. I had to find a console who can play them, but okay.
Yay.
All right, so I've been thinking about this since like you brought up the topic, and everyone here probably knows I'm a huge defender of SSX 2012. So this game isn't in the style of Burnout Paradise, but what the soundtrack element of SSX 2012, where like when you do like special moves, like the soundtrack kind of like fades away, like kind of plays into the game. And I want this game to be based on Baby Driver.
Ooh.
That's bold.
That's a bold choice, Jay.
Like an open world driving game where it's like perform like missions and quests and whatnot, but like there's a soundtrack because in that movie the soundtrack's like a big part of the movie, like basically
Right.
like just driving style.
Sure.
So like the music actually will play an element into the game. So like maybe like the cars like move like on the like drive to like the beat of the song or something like that, and like when you do
You
like a
have to-
drift, like
On the side, there's like DDR style things coming down the screen. You have to like click a button when you're turning and stuff.
maybe yeah, or like when he like
That's kinda dope,
drifts, or like when he drifts, like everything just like slows down, like the music just kind of like fades away, or like it slows down too.
That's
like-
that's a neat idea, Jay.
Yeah,
that
like
idea.
I like SSX 2012 or on the 360 at least, you could like import your own music, and like your imported music would still have the same concept.
I really
So
like
I don't
that.
know, like it seems like a dream game because like I could probably play it forever, just upload music to it like constantly, just to, like test it out.
That's
Yeah.
a really good idea. That's really
You know what
cool.
there hasn't been a good game of in forever?
What's that?
That like licensed? A 007 game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
the last one was GoldenEye for N64. It's the last one. I
No,
liked.
man, like I played so much Nightfire on the GameCube.
The
Holy
Nightfire on
shit.
GameCube is real good.
I
Everything or
remember
nothing.
Everything or Nothing was really like you had so many all the like the gadgets, like the spider crawling thing.
And you had the Need for
That was
Speed
good,
engine
yeah.
for the driving.
I used to
Oh,
I used to play
Yeah,
I used to play
yeah,
yeah, I used to
that
play
was
like
good.
Nightfire
Besides
a
original
lot.
Xbox.
like a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
So there were 3 Evil Dead games. Just there was Hail to the King, which was not good. That wasn't on Xbox. That was on PlayStation. There was Fistful of Boomstick, which is the one that I did play quite extensively. And there was Evil Dead Regeneration, where you have your little deadite. You have your deadite buddy.
Yep. Yeah, I played that on PC.
You know what movie would make?
So they're on PC. I could find a PC version of these.
Well, I don't know about that licensing, man.
I don't know.
So not a 100% legit.
I have like 30 more seconds left, so I'm gonna propose a game.
Go ahead. Let's hit it.
Call Me by Your Name, but in the style of Edit Finch. So you're kind of walking around the house until you get to fuck Arnie Hammer.
Wow. All right.
J.
I don't know. That was my favorite movie. That was like my favorite movie of the year.
That's the most incredible description of anything I've probably ever heard.
That was amazing.
I support this.
Go forth.
Jeff's like, I'm in.
Go forth and
I'll tell you what. If we could just get, you know what movie would make an excellent game? If we could just get a Tomb Raider game, that I think would be amazing. If they could take that Tomb Raider movie and turn that into a game, it'd be fucking awesome.
And do it in the Uncharted style.
Isn't this just the Ratchet and Clank thing all over again?
Don't.
I'm still sore about that.
I found that movie like in the like clearance bin at Walmart for like $1.
I saw that on opening night, knowing it would be bad.
Then that was your own fault, man.
It is my own fault. I knew it, but you know what?
Saki knew it.
But I didn't know that.
What about a Manos: The Hands of Fate game? Would be great.
No, moving on.
Or like The Room. Give me a game on The Room.
We all know the best licensed game of all time was Return of the King. It was a fantastic license.
It actually was. No, it was really good. That was good.
Those games, that trilogy was actually really good.
I'll tell you what was not good. What was not good was the turn-based Lord of the Rings game.
No.
Like the turn-based RPG, like Final Fantasy.
Oh wait, no. It was okay. What was it called?
The Third Age.
The Third Age.
Because War in the North was the action RPG, right?
Yeah.
Was pretty good,
no, the Third Age was like the final boss was literally the eye, like the great eye at the top of the tower, and I was like, how? Why? Like, this
I never made it that far.
It doesn't make any sense. Well, spoiler alert: the final boss is Sauron, like in the Lord of the Rings.
But he's
game.
just an eye.
Damn it!
I know. I'm sorry, guys. I ruined it. I ruined it. But Finn, what a great topic that was.
Yes.
And now, and you know, now I'm upset because I talked about the Army of Darkness game we don't have that I really, 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 really want now.
I really want my Call Me by Your Name game.
Real quick, I would like to give my answer.
Okay.
Oh, you haven't even given your answer.
Of course. Fuck. Yeah, of course.
Please.
First, Saki was very adamant that she gave her answer first, so.
Kingsman!
Oh, that's good, actually.
That would be a good game.
That's actually, yeah. That's
good job, Saki. And then, I couldn't decide, so I'm going to quickly rattle off both of my answers, and they're fairly basic,
Cheater.
but I think they would make great answers.
You're basic!
Oh, shit.
I am devastated.
I love Saki all of a sudden.
You forgot the snap. No, the first one would be Wreck-It Ralph, but done as a point-and-click adventure
That's good,
game.
actually.
Done in like the classic LucasArts style of a more humorous
I love that.
point-and-click adventure game. Not quite Telltale style. I hopefully would have a good presentation.
So Thimbleweed.
Yeah, but done in like a more not pixel, I guess, like in the
Or
style
like
of the
Puck Goes to
movie.
the Moon.
Like
And
claymation.
Have it have all of the cameos from different video games and stuff alongside their new ones. It would be the kind of like crossover point-and-click adventure game, but done as a side story for Wreck-It Ralph. I think that would be really cool. And then my other one, just because I'm so sad that we are in this era of this golden age and we've got nothing to show for it, I want a game encapsulating the Arrowverse. And if not the Arrowverse, like Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, stuff like that, then do one
Black
for the
Lightning
Netflix series and have one about the Defenders and hopefully write Iron Fist better. But like making a co-op action RPG type of game, my dream would be like, think Batman Arkham Knight, but drop in, drop out co-op where you could play as different members of Team Arrow, and you're all in the city and you're doing different missions and you can either meet up or go do your own thing. I'm so sad that we get nothing to capitalize on the fact that we are in this era of amazing comic book TV.
Yeah, I would love I would, there are some superheroes that are really hard. Like Daredevil is like a really hard hero to kind of realize as a video game.
I always thought of Gotham style with like the detective mode.
I think so too. I think that once Batman came out, like it's like, oh, I guess this is how you would do a Daredevil.
But you'd have to play the whole game like that, though.
Yeah,
right, and that's the thing. But a Flash game would also be really hard. Like super speed is a real hard superpower. Like if you look at how it was implemented in DC Universe Online, it was like, okay, that's how I get around. Like that's what shows me that it shows people that I'm really fast.
The whole game would just be bullet time.
Look at Saints Row and Infamous First Light did speed really well. They would just need to implement it into combat somehow.
Yeah, and I played Saints Row 4, which is where you're talking about.
Yeah.
Which did do it really well, but even then I didn't feel like I was moving as fast as
City of Heroes actually did a great job
did
with
it?
super speed.
Yeah, ooh, that's true.
If we think about it, like that had a fantastic super speed mechanic. But it was a travel mechanic. It was less part of. Seriously, I could talk about City of Heroes all night. Please don't get me started.
I just want to point out, Kogasu in chat wants Troll 2.
Oh, Kogasu.
Bad.
Bad.
I've been watching Star Wars Rebels a lot lately, and I'm craving another good Star Wars game. That's not
good.
That's never going to happen.
Cute.
I wanted to make that a separate topic because TV. Although I cheated by doing.
Well, I'm just saying like Star Wars in general, like the new movies that's been coming out, like man, like
it would be really cool.
Planet of the Apes would be really good.
Like I'm thinking like single player here, not
like
obviously not
person action kind of Star Wars game, maybe called Star Wars 1313. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I think that would be really cool.
Uncharted style. Do you think it should be Uncharted style?
Or and maybe like a different game, like maybe Visceral Studios could make it. Amy Hennig could.
Well, you know what? The Star Wars playsets for Disney Infinity 3 were actually really good.
That is
and
true.
then they fucking killed the game.
Wasn't the combat
I have the 72 figures over here to prove it.
All right.
Anyway, thank you guys for answering my topic. I just it's one I've been thinking about a lot.
No, Finn, that was a great.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty badass topic.
That was actually one of the best topics we've had in weeks. That's awesome.
I'm disappointed nobody said 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
I still haven't seen it actually.
I actually wanted a Shape of Water game.
I want a Princess Bride game.
A romance.
That'd be great.
Yo, that would work though. Like it would work.
We need a dating sim visual novel Shape of Water game.
That'd be weird.
Like Hatoful Boyfriend, but Shape of Water. Just saying.
Hatoful Boyfriend was an awesome game.
Date this fish monster. All right. We'll go ahead and wrap it up there. We've gone a little bit over our mark. I want to thank Mike and Amanda for coming on. It was such a pleasure. You guys are some of the best guests we've had in a long time.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to thank you guys for coming on. I stick around after we get off. I just want to say something to you guys. But Mike and Amanda, where can people find you on Twitter?
I'm at Amanda Farough. So my last name is Farough.
And this will be in the description of the video on YouTube, by the way.
Cool.
So.
And I am at Futterish, Futterish.
Awesome. It was so awesome having you guys on. Does anybody have anything else before we quit? Anybody want to make any points?
No, I just want to thank you guys for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure to have fun guests. Thank you for putting up with our garbage.
Fun. Our kids can't tell us we're fun.
You are fun.
There you go.
You are fun.
Yep.
All right.
I want to thank
fun show, fun socks, fun crew.
Jeff is just dancing Groot.
I'm fine with that.
That's how we're gonna end the show.
Dancing Groot forever, fellow Canadian.
Don't forget, guys, we will be back next week on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've got some articles coming out on Polygon pretty soon, so please look forward to those. I'll link those on Twitter when that happens. And then we also have PAX coming up. So please don't forget that some of us will be at PAX. I'll be on a panel with a couple other people talking about Dark Souls. And I will also be hosting part of Susan Arndt's game night or game show night on Saturday. So please look forward to that as well. We got some really cool stuff coming up on the show. Hopefully soon we get some more guests coming on. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Mega Ran. Yep, he'll be on the show soon.
Mega Ran.
Yep, Mega Ran will be on the show. And Mike Huber is making soon, very soon, I promise, his long-awaited return, his 4th visit to the show. So please look forward to that as well. But
and we're already talking about another episode of Appeals Court. So like,
yeah, Appeals Court is going to be coming back too. Jeff, when's your next Pause for Popcorn?
I'm going to be seeing Annihilation tomorrow, so I think we'll be recording an episode hopefully this weekend.
Awesome.
Scheduling works out, and yeah, that should be up next week.
And Finn, when are we bringing Nola Nerdcast to?
It was on last night.
The NOLA Nerdcast is ready to go. We are now officially bringing our comic and expertise and our gaming hot takes to the SDGC family. The Saki cinematic universe is growing.
It's growing. It's growing. It's growing. I love that term.
That's amazing.
I love
I'm here
that
for
term.
it.
Okay, guys. As always, thanks for hanging out with us. And it's not always poetry, and we don't always agree, but we always keep it real. So until next week, we will see you guys later.
Scalebound forever.
Bye, guys.